Hello, Assalamualaikum and greetings. This is Averroes and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I would like to be sharing with you the subjects and my law school notes here in semester 6 during my third year of law school in UiTM Shah Alam. I'm super excited to be sharing with you these notes because I really hope that it will prepare you for your next semesters, and I hope that these notes will also help you in your examinations, your finals, your assignments, tests, and quizzes. And I really do hope so. So I pray for the best of luck in whatever you are pursuing, what you're experiencing and going through. And yes, without much being said, let's get started. Alright, the first subject that we'll be going through is international law. So what I have right here with me is the notes that I made for international law. And my lecturer for this subject was Professor Madya Dr. Tunku Intan. She's quite the expert in this subject. She's made a lot of books, for example this one, and especially on space law. So we're going to go through the table of contents, what you'll be expecting to learn in this subject. You'll be learning, introducing yourself to what is international law, public international law. It's the collection of regimes of laws regulating between states and sovereign states, entering into different conventions and international treaties. You will be looking at the United Nations and its organs. Let me zoom a little bit more if I can. Like, for example, the UNSC, the United Nations General Assembly. There will be the ECOSOC. There will be, for example, IMF. There will be UNICEF, UNESCO. There will be all sorts of councils. There will be the peaceful settlement of dispute. It could be through the ICJ. It could be through arbitration, negotiation, conciliatory bodies. Have I mentioned mediation? I think I have. There will be lots and lots of types of peaceful settlement of disputes. There will be the regulation of the use of force. This is very, very famous in regards to the attack of Russia into Ukraine. You could also apply this in situations involving Israel attacking Palestine. There will be the issues of humanitarian law, which is very similar to our fundamental liberties in our constitution, such as the rights to expression, assembly, the rights to equality, and all of that. We will also have environmental law by looking at I think it's the UNFCCC. And then there will be the Rio Declaration, the Stockholm Declaration. There will be human rights law again. I'm very sorry, I got that mixed up. Humanitarian law is the law when you go into war or to battle. So there will be the Geneva Convention and its protocols. So you can't attack women, you can't attack children, you can't attack public places. Then lastly, we have the law of the sea, which is where it is the law again regulating, ships going into the sea. What kind of resources can you extract? Will you go into the territorial boundaries of a country within their oceans? So yeah, this is international law. And then we have tutorial questions, which you may refer to. Secondly, we have family law. Family law right here. And my lecturer was Professor Dr. Aisha Chua. And these are the subtopics. We have betrothal, where before getting married, they enter into a pre-contract where they will get married in the future. So that is betrothal. Then there are marriage requirements, such as it cannot be within prohibited degrees. You have to reach some sort of the age of majority. And then the effect of marriage and property of married women. The law has changed, whereby married women, their liabilities has now been separate from the husband. They are no longer actually considered as one. They can have their own property. Continuation of nullity, void, and voidable. It means that the contract wasn't even in existence to begin with. It's not a situation where you apply for divorce, but it's to say that no marriage has taken place before. And this is different to divorce, because in divorce, the marriage is valid and exists, but you want to separate from your other spouse. And then there will be the grounds of divorce and section 53, behavior desertion. Yes, those are under the grounds of divorce, such as it's intolerable to live with the other spouse, the spouse has converted to Islam, the spouse has deserted, the spouse has very bad behavior. And then we have an ancillary claims, which is basically maintenance and all of that, in custody, guardianship and custody, yes. And then there's legitimacy and legitimation, whereby you can try to make your child legitimate and adopt children, because when the child is not legitimate and they're not adopted, then they don't have any personal inheritance rights in those regards. And finally is domestic violence, as under the DVA Act, which is the Domestic Violence Act 1994. And then we have tutorial questions. And I would like to remind everyone that the tutorial questions and the answers provided are incomplete. And yes, the lecturers have provided sample answers within the tutorial questions. So please do compare and contrast between my answers and perhaps other students' answers with the lecturer's answers in the notes. Moving forward, we have the law of association. Let's zoom out. So here are the table of contents. We have shares and share capital. It's whereby it's an intangible property or asset which is given to the shareholders, so they have the powers or rights within the company, such as convening at a meeting, go for a vote, and to have a say about the affairs of the company. And there are different types of shares. And to be honest, I don't really know much of the different types of shares. I'm still studying it before my finals. There will be the corporate management and its control, and to the duty to avoid conflict of interest. Meaning to say that the directors in the company should not have any conflict of interest. The company should not be used for any improper purposes. And yes, it should be used in the functions that it is supposed to be and the objective of the company. There are the majority rule and the minority protection, whereby the minorities will always be oppressed. The shareholders will always be oppressed in any given situations. So yeah, this is something that we could look to. The company's borrowings power of or loan capital. Yes, the company can also make loans or debentures. To be honest, the law of association is something that I'm still working on. But I do know about winding up, which is you try to, in one word to say, to dissolve the company and sell off the assets because the company is insolvent and there might be bankrupt proceedings against it. They have too much debt. And then there are meetings and auditors. I think the lecturer said that these two topics won't actually go much in the finals. And then we have tutorial questions. Same goes to family law. I have not provided a comprehensive answer for this, but I've added what the madam has mentioned. And yes, Madam Hamsia is the one who's teaching this subject. Moving forward, we have the law of evidence 1, which we will be learning again in next semester, in semester 7. And the lecturer teaching me the subject is Madam Habiba. And then these are the table of contents. You'll be learning as to what is evidence. You need evidence to further support your contention or argument in court or your allegations. So that's why evidence law is really important. And this will be further explained in the 4 canons of evidence law, who will be subjected to Evidence Act, because there are other acts which have their own evidence sort of elements in there. If given some situations, the Evidence Act will prevail in those regards. We have Section 5, which is direct evidence and to the facts at issue and relevant facts. It's sort of the allegations and the circumstantial evidence which will be found within Section 5. Section 6 is for the general relevancy for hearsay or res gestae. So when someone makes a gossip or rumor, it is whereby one party hears from another party. So that is considered as hearsay, which they heard from a third party. So that is not relevant and not admissible. So in order for you to make it relevant and admissible, you have to prove it under res gestae, there's Section 6, and then there's Section 7, 8, and 9, whereby Section 7 is for the state of things. I think it's for the location. 8 is for the conduct. Section 9 is the identification of the person. Then we have admission and confession under Section 17, whereby admission can be the accused person or any other person that could incriminate the accused, and confession is the confession of the accused himself of his own crimes. And then we have hearsay and presumption. This is a branch of hearsay just now, and presumption is, for example, if you carry a certain amount of drugs, then you are presumed to have committed the offense. That is an example of presumption. We presume under the law that that is already so. And another example is that if you are 16 years old, below 16 years old, and you, particularly a girl, and you commit some sort of sexual intercourse, that is presumed to be rape, because a person who enters into sexual intercourses under the age of 16 is automatically considered as rape. And then we have the assignment questions and tutorial questions. We have the law of conveyancing. To be honest, this is the most scariest, if not the most hardest subject that I've encountered, apart from the law of association, because it involves some calculations and you have to memorize a lot of, how I would say this, a lot of procedures and guidelines and steps within this law. It's quite tedious, if I were to be honest with you. But there is actually a way for you to actually get a better grasp of this subject, in which I will make a video soon about this later. And here are the chapters you'll be learning in conveyancing law. It's basically a law where you want to sell a property or a house to someone, either from the developer or the subsequent person selling the property. So in essence, it's a law about selling your house or your condominium or your bungalow, something like that. So you will send it with a title, you will sell it from the developer using the HDA, which is the Housing Development Act, which you have to use the SPA provided under the law. There will be the procedures to purchase property from the developer. There will be the security transaction, meaning you to say you want to buy from the developer with loan, with title, transfer of real property. How do you want to transfer the land? Using Form 14A, using security transaction, the procedures for the sale of property with title in an auction, stratified property, which is the apartment, the condos, the flats. That's what our stratified property are. Transfer of real property without the title, and yes, security transaction. And power of attorney is where you want someone to do something on your behalf. So when you have a contract or you have maybe the forms, you might want someone else to do it on your own behalf. Honestly speaking, if you were to have really good understanding and grasp of land law and you did your internship at a conveyancing firm, best chances you are going to score in the subject. Like me, we have another last two subjects, and before that, the law of conveyancing is taught by Madam Shasni. Now we shall continue with the last remaining two subjects, which are jurisprudence. Jurisprudence is taught by Madam Azlina, and it's a continuation of jurisprudence 1 last semester I did with Sir Nazim. And to be honest with you, it's really hard to catch up with this subject, but I really did enjoy learning it because it's very historical and philosophical, and it relates so much with your FYP, which is your honors project paper or your final year's project paper, because you will have something such as Bryant Monahan and the Scandinavian realism, which seeks to understand the reason as to why people do conform, do follow the law, why it is inadequate, why it is inefficient. There will be Marxism, which is the antithesis of capitalism, where they oppose the social hierarchy and the class between the proletariat and the bourgeoisie. They want all the property to be within the control of the government. There should not be any state religion. They want equality for everyone, the equal distribution of wealth. They don't want, because they believe that capitalism is a form of oppression against the weak by those with the authority and the monarchs. They don't like the monarchy system as well. There is postmodernism, which is essentially another word for liberalism. When my madam said that they are the woke people, the people who supports these LGBT things, they believe that everything needs to be liberalized, there needs to be more freedom. That is basically who are the liberalists, are the postmodernists. And there will be a lot of current issues that you should know when it comes to postmodernism. Next we have the theory of adjudication. It is whereby the courts have more judicial activism and discretion to alter or change the law and give more people justice because the law might be too draconian or it might be too restrictive. But it is up to your argument to say, does Malaysia have judicial activism? In Malaysia, we have the doctrine of the separation of powers and the basic structure. So sometimes the executive does intervene within the judiciary, sometimes the legislative body, they create laws for the courts to follow. So whether or not the court cannot change the law made by parliament because it is a law that they have to follow. And then we have tutorial questions and script for video presentation. It is a video presentation I did on the anti-hopping law, so you could read the script if you like. And finally, the final subject for today is insurance law and practice 2. It is also a continuation of what I learned last semester. And again, the lecturer that's teaching me this is Dr. Bahrain. And yeah, here are the chapters. We have insurance claims. How are you going to make your claims to the insurance companies so that they can indemnify you? How do you prove that there is the loss and causation? Perhaps it is not part of the policy's coverage. It is too remote. Maybe we're making things up. And then there's indemnity, part 1 and part 2. How do you get indemnified? Get your insurance claims. There's the subrogation, which means that the insurance company is suing on your behalf, is taking action on your behalf. That's what it means. And then there's the compulsory third-party motor insurance. In Malaysia, it's compulsory for you to get a motor insurance or not. It is a crime under the Road Transport Act. And then there's the trust of life policies. Can trusts be policy premiums, monies in the insurance be part of the trust? Can it be part of our estate or not? And then there's takaful, which is the Islamic version of insurance. And let's top it off with tutorial questions. So I guess that's pretty much it for this video. I do apologize if there are any shortcomings on my part. And yes, I would like to end this video again by saying good luck in your finals. Good luck in your quiz, tests, assignments, and anything or any situations that you might want to use my notes for references. And till then, I'll see you in the next videos, and then goodbye. Thank you.